If you ask me what my biggest investing mistake was, I'd tell you it wasn't the amount of money I lost. It was breaking two investing rules that I already knew. And somehow I convinced myself those rules didn't apply this time. So, a few months ago, Elon Musk and Donald Trump started publicly arguing on social media. If you were following the news, it was everywhere. People were predicting that Tesla would take a huge hit if the relationship between Elon Musk and Trump completely fell apart. I watched all of this unfold and thought, Tesla is definitely going down. So I did something I almost never do. I bought a put option on Tesla. For those who aren't familiar, buying a put option is essentially a bet that a stock will go down. Before I tell you what happened next, let me quickly explain what a put option is. If you've never heard of a put before, don't worry. Loosely speaking, buying a put option is a bet that a company's stock price is going to go down. If you want a deeper explanation about how options work, I have another video on covered calls that goes into much more detail. The important thing to understand is this: if the stock price falls, the value of a put option usually goes up. And because options give you leverage, relatively small moves in the stock can produce much larger percentage gains or losses than simply owning the stock itself. And the ratio is about 100 times the movement. So my thinking was pretty simple. If Elon and Trump kept fighting publicly, Trump could eventually introduce policies or regulations that hurt Tesla's business. Investors would panic, Tesla's stock would fall, and my put option could become much more valuable. On paper. It actually looked like a pretty good trade, but of course, the exact opposite can happen too. If the stock goes up instead of down, the value of the put falls. Fast. 100x as fast. Options don't give you much room to be wrong. And if the stock moves strongly against your position or your timing is off, you can lose most or even all of the money you invested. So take a guess which direction Tesla went. I put $5,000 into that trade. Looking back, that should have been my first warning sign. At first, everything looked like I was a genius. Within a couple of days, my investment had gone from $5,000 to about $7,000. I was up $2,000. And honestly, I was pretty proud of it. I even told my grandma about the trade. She was impressed, and I started feeling like I'd made a really smart investment. Looking back, that confidence was exactly what got me into trouble. Instead of asking myself, should I take the profit? I started asking, how much more money can I make from this trade? In my mind, there was no reason for Elon and Trump to suddenly make up, and the feud seemed like it would only get worse. Trump also has a history of making headlines that move the market, so I thought that if I held on just a little longer, I might catch the next big downward move in Tesla stock. So I ignored the warning signs, convinced myself that I had been right so far and that I would keep being right. So I held. Then, almost overnight, everything changed. Elon and Trump stopped fighting. The market reacted immediately. Tesla recovered. And because I wasn't just holding the stock, I was holding options, the value of my investment absolutely collapsed. My $7,000 position became worth around $1,000, and in a matter of days, I had gone from being up $2,000 to being down $4,000. So in total, $6,000 of price movement. That hurt. But the money wasn't actually the biggest lesson. The real lesson was why I made the trade in the first place. Looking back, I realized I had broken two fundamental investing rules. The first one is that news-driven pop culture investments change incredibly fast. The market doesn't wait, and by the time most people hear about a story, thousands of professional traders have already reacted, algorithms have reacted, institutional traders have already reacted, and the story itself can change instantaneously. One tweet, One interview, one public statement, that's all it takes. My entire investment thesis depended on two people continuing to dislike each other. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. I wasn't analyzing Tesla's business, I wasn't studying earnings, I wasn't evaluating cash flow. I was betting that two famous people would continue arguing online, and that is speculation and not investing. But that's just the first reason, the first mistake that I made. The second mistake is even worse. I invested in a company I fundamentally don't understand. This is something Warren Buffett has talked about for decades. He says investors should stay inside their circle of competence. In other words, only invest in business you actually understand. The truth is, I know almost nothing about Tesla. I don't know enough about electric vehicles. I don't understand the competitive landscape. I couldn't tell you exactly why Tesla deserves the valuation it has. In fact, one thing has always confused me about Tesla. The market cap for Tesla is around $1 trillion, while other EV companies like Rivian and Lucid are shy of 3% of that figure. Lucid is even smaller. This is to say, I couldn't confidently explain how Tesla is valued or why the market priced it the way it did. Then, since I couldn't do that, I probably shouldn't have been risking thousands of dollars on options tied to it. I wasn't investing based on understanding, I was investing based on headlines. And to top this all off, options make mistakes much more expensive. When you buy a stock, you can sometimes wait years for your thesis to play out. Options don't give you that luxury. There's a time limit on them, and time is literally working against you. Even if you're eventually right, you can still lose money if you're late, and that's exactly what happened to me. So, what did I learn? First, don't confuse pop news with an investment thesis. And second, stay inside of your circle of competence. If you're making a highly speculative trade, be honest with yourself. Call it speculation. There's nothing wrong with taking calculated risks, but don't pretend you're making a long-term investment when you're really just betting on tomorrow's headlines. Ironically, losing this money probably made me a better investor, because expensive lessons are memorable lessons. Today, I spend much more time trying to understand businesses than trying to predict the next viral news story. I don't always make the right decision, but I try much harder to make decisions for the right reasons. And in the long run, I think that's what actually leads to better investing. If this story helps one person avoid making the same mistake I did, then at least losing that money wasn't completely wasted. Thanks for watching. Bye.